Today is Monday, May 14th, and we are here with Rashad, the Director of the Youth Engagement and Employment Program with the Boston Centers for Youth and Families. I'd like to remind folks that this is a public hearing. It's being recorded and broadcast on RCN 82, Comcast 8, Verizon 1964, and streamed on boston.gov/city-council-TV. I'd like to ask folks in the chamber to silence their electronic devices. The conclusion of the department's presentation and questions from my colleagues, we will accept public testimony. There's a sign-in sheet to my left by the door. We ask that you state your name, affiliation, and residence, and check the box if you do wish to testify. The Youth Engagement and Employment Budget Overview as it pertains to dockets 0559 through 0563, orders for the fiscal year 19 operating budget, including annual appropriations for departmental operations, annual appropriations for the school department, and appropriation for other post-employment benefits, appropriation for certain transportation and public realm improvements, and appropriation for certain park improvements, as well as dockets 0564 through 0565, capital budget appropriations, including loan orders and lease and purchase agreements. I'd like to introduce my colleagues in order of their arrival. To my immediate left, the Chairman of Education and City Councilor at Large, Anissa Asabi George. Councilor Presley was in the chamber. She stepped out. Councilor Flynn to my left, Councilor Campbell, Councilor McCarthy, and Councilor O'Malley all to my left. I want to welcome you, Rashad, and Michael back to this afternoon's hearing. And if you have a short presentation, you can proceed.
Sure. Thank you very much, Councilor Ciamo. And the members of the City Council, thank you for having me here today to present our fiscal year 19 budget. What I'd like to do today is really just talk, a lot about some of the accomplishments that we experience with the Division of Youth Engagement and Employment with our fiscal year 18 budget, and also talk about some of the goals and initiatives that we are hoping to continue to work on in the year ahead. I would say 19 months in, it continues to be an honor and an extraordinary experience to serve in this role and to serve the constituents of the City of Boston. Most importantly, the young people, their families, and our partners. The Division of Youth Engagement and Employment is positioned to do some amazing work in the weeks, the months, and the years ahead. And I am excited to navigate this process with our team, with the support of the Office of Health and Human Services and under the leadership of Chief Martinez, BCYF, and Commissioner Morales, and Mayor Walsh. So let me start with sharing just two incredible moments that I experienced in my role over the past 2 years. For the first time, NYC welcomed a youth, Mayor's Youth Council welcomed a youth who was hearing impaired to join the council. Without knowing whether we had the resources to support interpretation services, we just knew this youth deserved this opportunity. We managed to pull together some funds to compensate an interpreter to be at every NYC meeting to allow for this youth to participate. And I think this really just speaks to our goals of making sure that access to the Mayor's Youth Council is something that is available for every young person. Additionally, there were 2 NYC committee chairs. The NYC is really, it's broken up to multiple chairs that serve over a few different committees. 2 of them were very instrumental in organizing the March for Our Lives rally that happened here in Boston on Saturday, March 24th, 2018. And I think this speaks to our work being more than just youth participating in our jobs programs, but we push for youth to be advocates around issues that are really, really important to them. And this is a testament that Human service work is the work of the heart, and we see that every day. There are insurmountable barriers placed in the way of service professionals who are reaching back to grab hold of our young people and helping them navigate the path ahead of them. And our job with the Division of Youth Engagement and Employment as service professionals is to help youth navigate their path. We are excited that through this work, we are positioned to ensure there is continued focus on providing intentional and meaningful workforce and engagement experiences that have a direct impact on the growth and the development of youth across Boston to be ready for future employment, education, civic leadership, and community engagement. Every year, the Youth Engagement and Employment is striving to position our division as leaders in youth workforce, youth engagement, and skill development. While there is a very high significance of the work that is delivered through this division, we remain grounded in understanding the vulnerable populations that we serve and the barriers that are in place to keep some youth marginalized and complacent from reaching steps of success. It is because of this that we have a dedicated team that gives of themselves, knowing the most critical entry point of impact in a person's life is during their youth years. And we carry this drive with us in the year ahead. So this past fiscal year, it's required us to work through some staff transitions and the restructuring of the division, while maintaining an effective approach, what I would like to consider an effective approach to accomplish our work goals. While operating at a stretched capacity for most of 2018 fiscal year, we have met our fiscal year goals and have worked within budget to meet desired outcomes. Alignment of work areas and priorities were important to ensure limited risk of work overlap amongst staff. We restructured our work to provide a realignment of work areas and structures that have supported with clarity and understanding for the staff to have greater levels of success in their roles. So those work areas are youth employment and development, youth engagement and outreach, and youth programs and partnerships. And the youth employment work, what lives under there is Mayor Walsh's Success Link Youth Jobs Initiative, which I'll talk a little bit more about. And our employment providers, so those partners that we work with, mostly community-based organizations, to provide employment opportunities to young people during the summer months and also during the academic year. Under our youth engagement and outreach, that lives the Mayor's Youth Council, the Youth Lead the Change, which is Boston's participatory budgeting initiative, the MBTA Youth Pass program, which is another program that we are primarily responsible for, and citywide youth civic engagement and outreach for our entire division. And then under our programs and partnerships work lives our career development work, our young adult program, which has been the Dream Team program, and assessment, impact, and evaluation of our programming. This past fiscal year, we saw the transition of one of our really, really important staff members who held long-standing institutional knowledge about this work. This is since the work was Boston Youth Fund under the old Hope Line program, for those of you guys who remember. This was an opportunity for change. We have also welcomed 5 new staff members to our team this year alone. Among them were 2 key manager-level positions that were incredibly instrumental to our work. And I just want to highlight just 2 of those staff. One of them was Ruth Georges. Ruth serves as our manager of engagement and outreach. She joined us in around last September or October. And as you may know, as some of you all may know, Ruth joined us from the Office of Neighborhood Services, in which she was a Mattapan liaison and the Haitian liaison to the mayor in the city of Boston. And she brings a very strong neighborhood service and engagement lens to our work that is really, really, really needed. Ruth has stepped in to lead and help redesign the Mayor's Youth Council and continue the implementation of Youth Lead the Change. And also redesign a few engagement events, most significantly the Youth Jobs and Resource Fair. The other manager, which was instrumental, who replaced our former employment manager, is Tiara Lyons, who currently serves as our manager of employment and development. She joined us this past March, so not too long ago, just in time for us to really kick off our summer employment program. Tiara joined us from the City of Boston Office of Human Resources, and she was really very instrumental in supporting the success of the SuccessLink Youth Summer Jobs program last summer while she was in her role at the Office of Human Resources. She was jokingly kind of considered an unofficial DYE staff. But Tiara steps into the role with an HR and payroll lens. And we feel that that is critical because the employment program is just that. It's HR work. And for her to be able to bring, that lens to our work, she's efficient through systems, I feel is going to be instrumental to the program moving forward. She's already come in to strategize around revised payroll systems, which, is critical to make sure that we're paying young people on time. And also is working to improve the youth jobs matching process, which is the algorithm that we use to place young people in jobs. As the 2018 fiscal year comes to a close, I am very proud of the accomplishments that we have achieved. While there are levels of success we should celebrate, there certainly are significant areas that require refinements. You may have with you the accomplishments and initiatives with you. So let me just share a little bit about just our 3 primary work areas, and then I'd love just to answer questions. The youth employment and development, so I think we understand that there's a shared emphasis that youth jobs is important to the mayor. The SuccessLink program was level funded again this past year to provide the intentional and real-world workforce readiness practices for young people. In the summer of 2017, the program hired 3,018 youth and placed them in various job opportunities across the neighborhoods of Boston. Again, that's specific to nonprofits and community-based organizations. This was roughly a 19% increase over the summer of 2016, when there was about roughly a little over 2,500 jobs that were filled. We saw nearly 5,200 youth successfully register for the 2017 summer employment program. Some other numbers that are great numbers: approximately 55 youth were placed at jobs through a direct selection process. So the direct selection process gives our partner organizations the opportunity to select young people that they have interest in working at their sites. And then approximately 45% of our youth were placed at jobs through our randomized lottery process. The majority of the jobs in the summer of 2017 were located in Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan. So this is just given the location of the providers that we are working with. During the 2017 school year, the SuccessLink program continued the opportunity of providing jobs to youth during the academic year. We hired 551 youth, which was 100 less jobs than the 2016-17 school year, which that number was an anomaly given the lower numbers that was hired in summer 2016. During the school year, we saw well over 1,200 youth register for the school year program, which to me, it opens up conversation for increasing school year job opportunities. Our team has begun to discuss the idea of year-round youth jobs programs, pathway and cohort youth workforce models. We're hoping to have continued conversations about those areas and make sure that that becomes a part of our work moving forward. I would also say that, that youth jobs continues to be the pinnacle for youth independence, responsibility, and increasing youth's ability to prioritize and provide for themselves and their families, as we know. We see how youth jobs, it ignites young people to be actively engaged and improve their aspirations. I think we all give a little bit more when there is some type of compensation, incentive, or reward that's tied to our work. We worked with the Office of Workforce Development to implement surveys to youth job participants during the summer of 2017. A few of the findings was youth improve their aspirations of enrolling in educational and training programs after high school by virtue of participating in youth jobs. Youth have improved understandings of economic mobility, and more youth choose to open bank accounts after they are employed. We cannot do this work without our partners. The partners, they're responsible for the day-to-day employment experiences provided to the young people. And some of those partners is the Beantown Society, Boston Neighborhood Network News, Bikes Not Bombs, the Center to Support Immigrant Organizing. We have summer jobs here in city government. Of course, our BCYF community centers, Company One Theater, Supreme Judicial Corps, and the South End Tech Center. So those are just a few of the nearly 200 job partners that we actually work with. One of the exciting areas of the employment program continues to be the build-out of our youth jobs portal. The portal is an external portal that lives outside of the City of Boston's hiring platform. The Metropolitan Area Planning Council and the Department of Innovation and Technology have partnered with us very closely to make refinements and further build out the portal. The portal was used during the summer of 2017 to improve job matches for youth. Direct selections and lottery placements all was made through this external portal. The lottery algorithm, again, this year, it takes into consideration the proximity of the job. Really, that's the travel time of where a young person lives versus where the job is actually located. And it also takes into consideration the youth interest in the work areas. After running the lottery, matches are generated and a job offer is just sent out to our young people. Most of the youth applicants, and this is about 77%, preferred interest alignment over proximity to their homes. So what that means is that some youth would receive job matches that it matched their interests, but it was a far distance away from their home. We saw about 12% of youth decline jobs, and one of those was that reasons that they just couldn't get to it. It matched what they were interested in, but it was too far away. We had some young people that lived in West Roxbury that were placing jobs in East Boston, just as an example. We also found through data that youth were more inclined to accept a job that was really just closer to their home. The youth jobs portal, it proved to be a much easier system for the youth and the partners to navigate. We held focus groups with young people. We also held focus groups with partners to gather qualitative feedback to really help us improve and further enhance this system as we continue to move forward. And one piece of feedback from a youth, very simple but very important, is they really felt that it was a good system, but the process takes too long. So we've heard that on multiple occasions, is that the process to hire young people is a very long and drawn-out process. So we are also having conversations about how we can really help, cut down certain aspects of that. It is our hope to really look at how we can use the portal for the entire Success Link program from end to end. I'm talking about from the time that partners apply, the time that young people apply. We're using multiple systems right now for the partner application. We use a different system for the youth application, and then the portal, it actually does the matching. So we want to make sure that there's ways in which we can better align those systems as well. Currently, the process is it's not as streamlined as we would like. And this speaks to some of the challenges that we have experienced with kind of just getting youth hired just in a timely manner. For the upcoming summer of 2018, right now we are at the beginning of hiring youth this week, which will look to conclude the hiring the last week of June. So over the next 7 weeks, our goal is to hire 3,200 young people. For this current summer program, we saw just over 5,100 completed registrants, and we also saw about 1,200 incomplete registrations as well. And the incomplete registrations could be a result of many factors, either young people that are logging in, they may start an application, they may not complete the application, they may have some questions about certain aspects of the application that they may not have support to be able to properly fill it out. Another important area we are beginning to discuss is being intentional around providing youth jobs to vulnerable youth populations. We have many organizations that provide work opportunities to Corey youth. We have Boston Housing Authority, which is a partner. The Street Workers program through BCYF is a great partner. We also have Boston Police Area B2, which is an employment partner as well. And we're working to make sure that we're providing more opportunities for youth with disabilities as well. BPS Strive and Horace Mann, they are also employment partners, and between both of those organizations, they provide employment opportunities to nearly 150 students with disabilities. And then we would like to learn really a little bit more about opportunities for homeless youth. So that's another aspect that we're beginning to have some discussions around. Lastly, the Success Link Youth Jobs effort is really a very important component of Mayor Walsh's larger 10,000 youth summer jobs goal. Last year, initial conversations at the city level began with PIC, ABCD, and MLK scholars to discuss city alignment of youth workforce efforts. Chief Martinez in the Office of Health and Human Services, they're learning more about the many moving parts of youth jobs. And we're hoping we will be pulling together a meeting relatively soon with those employment providers to share practices and to reconvene discussions around intentional alignment of youth jobs. I think we know just over 10,000 jobs were provided across the city last year to young people as a result of these organizations. So I think that's pretty remarkable. The next area is our youth programs and partnerships, and really this is a large focus of this area is the career development work. And I think we know that providing a job opportunity to young people alone is not enough. Our efforts must continue to be redirected towards deepening the visibility and the impact of career and skill development, which we feel is extremely essential to ensure youth have the necessary tools to be prepared for future workforce opportunities post-secondary education, and continued learning experiences. To make certain that we are actively preparing youth, we must be deliberate around building and sharing innovative curriculum, delivering workshops, connecting youth to existing cohort and pathway opportunities, and really evaluating our impacts. The YouthWorks component of the program, which is a state-funded initiative through the Commonwealth Corporation, it allows us to access the Signal Success curriculum, a curriculum that is used by other job providers really across Massachusetts. Through this curriculum, we provide a series of trainings that we implement every summer for risk barrier and court-involved youth. During the summer of 2018, we worked with ComCorp to provide 2 professional development trainings for BCYF staff. These were the BCYF youth workers and BCYF program supervisors. They were able to implement about 15 hours of the career development curriculum across 26 BCYF sites. In total, youth employees received approximately 420 hours of professional development through the Signal Success curriculum. And going into this year, we are looking to expand this to reach youth who are employed at non-BCYF sites. Youth Enrichment Day, as some may remember, was also used during the summer of 2017 as a very huge effort to kick off the Summer Jobs Program. But it was also a day of development for youth. Just over 2,000 young people attended Youth Enrichment Day at Boston University last year, and nearly 1,200 youth participated in either a financial literacy workshop, which the content was provided by Junior Achievement, or the other half participated in a trauma workshop, which was facilitated by the Boston Public Health Commission, and also included Adam Foss as a special guest. Working with the 19 to 24-year-old population, I feel remains pivotal to our work as well. The Community Dream Team program, which is our Corey-friendly workforce and leadership program, offered 30 young adults a summer of employment in team building and leadership. We worked again with the Office of Veteran Affairs, Office of Small Business Development, Public Works, and the Office of Neighborhood Services as work site placements for this group. The work-based projects were in the neighborhoods in which these young adults live. It was a great experience, I felt, to really allow this group of young adults to experience city work in their community. They saw firsthand the work of ONS, what they're doing in the neighborhoods, and the role of small business development in the main streets as well. So it was really, for them, it was what they saw is how they could see themselves as a part of this work. I think for that program moving forward, we hope to really begin discussions around revamping the Dream Team program to operate more as a cohort model. We have learned that a 6-week summer opportunity for this population is not the most effective, especially if we do not have a transition plan in place for them after the summer component ends. We had one participant who was a mother of 2. She was looking for another job or an opportunity after the program had ended, and we were able to just make referrals. We were not able to guarantee this mother an opportunity after this 6-week program ended. So we know that we must begin to kind of evaluate the impact of this program. And then the last area of our work is our youth engagement and outreach work, which I feel is the heartbeat of our work. The Mayor's Youth Council, it serves as our civic engagement platform. It leverages youth voice and leadership on behalf of the city of Boston. Young people are representatives of their schools and their neighborhoods, and they work to tackle ideas and issues that are deemed important from the youth lens. Ruth Georges led the process of restructuring the council to speak largely to the roles as neighborhood youth ambassadors. NYC recruited and engaged 85 high school age youth to serve as ambassadors for the 2017-2018 school year. The council primarily focused on projects specific to the committees in which youth served on, and they also focused on community service assignments. This year, we saw that NYC grew in diversity in terms of the representation of more schools in which the young people came from, and also representation of various demographic backgrounds. We are looking to continue to target outreach of underrepresented populations alone. So some of the major accomplishments, and I'll just highlight a few, was the Dream Chasers event that the Mayor's Youth Council actually led, which was an event that was used to inspire and motivate youth to chase their dreams. There was a very powerful panelist, which included Vivian Lennon of OHR, Conan Harris, Chief Austin Blackman. NYC also met with Parkland students, and they met with Parkland students to really show their support of improving gun laws. And then NYC, they also participated in Greater Food Bank services, the mayor's tree lightings, and MLK breakfast. The Youth Leads a Change initiative, which is also a part of NYC, it's one of their committees, collected nearly 400 ideas from 25 community-based organizations this year alone. And well, some of those ideas or some of those projects this year is a youth Wi-Fi lounge here at City Hall, which is on the ballot this year, investment in community gardens as well. And I think the last thing I want to really talk about is the MBTA Youth Pass program. The MBTA Youth Pass program provided access to subsidized T-passes to 1,700 eligible young adults this year. The difference of $54.50 is huge for young adults who are trying to improve their position in life. The cost of the pass is $30 versus the cost of the original monthly MBTA Youth Pass, which is $84.50. Outreach has been conducted to raise awareness about the MBTA Youth Pass program for eligible participants. We will also begin discussions of finding ways for the homeless youth and young adults to access the MBTA Youth Pass. We were able to attend the Rise to the Challenge event that was put on by the Department of Neighborhood Development over at the Bowen Building a few weeks ago. And this spoke to the barriers that youth and young adults have with access to transportation, among other critical areas for that population. And we feel that there is an opportunity to fill this gap with the Youth Pass program. And I think in closing, our chief priority continues to be endless opportunities for young people in Boston. The impact of our work, we know, must intersect with City of Boston priorities around public safety, youth development, and education. And I think this year ahead will require us to be more intentional around our goals and increase our viability for increased funding and resources to support this work. Understanding that the mayor's vision for the City of Boston is to ensure every aspect of city services contributes to a thriving, healthy, and innovative Boston. Our team knows that we must keep this in mind as we prioritize our work. So I think that's it. Councilor Siomo, thank you.
Thanks, Rashad.
Sure.
Let me recognize that we've been joined by District City Councilor Kim Janey and Councilor Asabi George. You have the floor.
Great, thank you, Chair, and thank you for that very detailed presentation. I don't
Extremely.
No, it really was very detailed, and I think
It
a
was.
lot of my questions, sort of on my running list, have been answered. But I am curious about, if you could just talk a little bit about your dependents. It's, I mean, it's a significant enough chunk of your budget, but the external funds, where are those grants coming from?
The external funds,
Yeah, so you have about 6.5 million for your operating budget, and then you have about 1.1 in external funds. And I'm just curious who your, where some of that financial support's coming from.
That's coming into the department, Counselor, or going out?
I think it's coming in.
There's three areas, settlement funds, youth at risk, and it was youth engagement and employment fund, but that is zeroed out as of last fiscal year.
Well, I suppose that's going out. All right, well, do you rely at all on grants? and
yeah, so
external funding?
so we do receive funding. The at-risk funding is the funding that we receive from Commonwealth Corporation. So that's administered to Office of Workforce Development for just employment programming to reach that at-risk population. So there's some funding that comes to us, and there's funding that goes to some of the other employment providers across the city. And I believe the settlement fund, and I'll find a little bit more out about that. The settlement fund has been just, I think it's just been a fund that's just been just sitting there, which we have used to offset costs, mainly to kind of support the school year employment program. Majority of our emergency employee funding goes towards the summer program, and whatever's left over, we'll be able to support the year-round school year program.
Yeah, and the settlement funds we haven't had a dip into those this year or prior year. I know a couple of years before that, we did have to take advantage of those funds, but there's no need, I think, this past fiscal year or this coming fiscal year to go into those funds at this point.
Great,
Great,
thank you. Thank you, Chair.
thank you. Councilor Flynn?
Thank you, Councilor Seola. Thank you, sir, for your presentation. I thought it was excellent. I just had one question. I know you highlighted at the beginning of your comments about the hearing impaired young student being able to work with the Mayor's Youth Council. I think that's excellent, excellent outreach. What else can we do in the city to, continue that same outreach to those with disabilities so that they can get access to education, training, employment, especially our young people? That's a concern for me, making sure that those with disabilities or they need some assistance have access to the same city services. And having said that, I just want to, recognize the great work you're doing and, keep up the great work. And if there's anything I can do to help you out, please let me know. But if there's anything that you're doing special on outreach to those with disabilities, I know the Mayor's Mayor's Commission for Persons with Disabilities, I know you're probably working closely with them as well. Any thoughts about any way we can continue that great outreach?
Yeah, I would say that it's really just continuing to partner with those organizations that are working with that population, and really us just building just real intentional opportunities and partnerships with those folks. Our engagement outreach team is very active. They understand that our job is to reach out to any and every young person across the city of Boston. And they do a good job of just learning about what's happening across the city of Boston, learning about who our youth providers are, and being able to find opportunities for us to meet with them, to have initial conversations, to explore future opportunities. So I think that's been the extent of our outreach.
Yeah, thank you. And over the last 4 or 5 months, I've been to several events with the Mayor's Youth Council, and those young people are doing an excellent job. So keep up the good work.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and that was That was pretty in-depth, Rashad. I appreciate that.
Sure.
As you know, I know a little bit about the program myself. Couple things. The 158 CBO sites you have this year, do you plan on expanding that at all this year? Is it a financial thing, or is it just a useful job problem? And the reason why I asked that question in that way, I phrased it in that way, is because if you had $1 zillion, you couldn't hire every single kid, because you want to have kids that have useful jobs that they're learning, the soft skills that they need to go on. Has any CBO sites dropped out, or are we continue to looking for more?
Yeah, so I think there always is going to be opportunity for us to partner with more community-based organizations. I believe the challenge that I have seen is the number of youth jobs that we are able to allot those organizations. So as we grow the number of partner organizations, the number that we're able to allot them becomes smaller. And I think this year, we're only able to allot, again, 3,200 positions, but we saw a request for over 4,000 positions from these partner organizations. But I think we want to make sure that we are reaching partners that are beginning to provide innovative workforce experiences for young people. We know our traditional summer programs and summer job providers who have been with us for many years, but as young people begin to just change and grow and develop, we want to make sure that we're reaching out and identifying partners that are really going to meet the needs of those young people. So I think we've had a partnership mixer, Counselor, and that partnership mixer, it was to invite new partners that really don't know a lot about our work and find ways and opportunities for us to partner with them through our employment program, for them to be a resource partner to young people, or career development. So I would say yes, we are very interested in continuing to identify new partners. I think for this current upcoming summer's program, we cannot. We've already at the point in which we're getting ready to do that. But I think, moving ahead, I would certainly say yes.
Yeah, I think that that's something we need to work on, and this is, certainly above some people's pay grades. But the reality is, if there's 700 jobs, let's just say $500 jobs that could be filled but can't be filled because we don't have the funding, then we need to address that with a budget the size we have. The summer jobs need to have more money. And I've said it before on this floor, and I've said it many, many times going back the last 15 years, is that in the 90s when there was the Boston Miracle, it wasn't a miracle. It was because all the kids that wanted jobs had jobs. There were many CBOs, there were partners, there were work crews, there was just layer upon layer of reasons why no teenagers were killed that summertime. And of course, we all strive for that once again, and continue to work with your partners. And if it's a financial issue, if it's a money issue, then we as a city council and a Ways and Means, we need to figure out how we can get those kids jobs and get them. And I know that Councilor O'Malley and I have put in a hearing order, and I know Matt is going to talk about it as well, about recreating, whether it's the red shirts or however you want to call it, but a work program that we can make a positive impact on the neighborhoods immediately,
Sure.
And including the winter work program, which we used to run, which would help with pedestrian ramps and fire hydrants during snowstorms and days off during snow. And it can be done. A lot of it has to do with money. A lot of it has to do with will. But there's been a lot of great things. I know you've done a great job. I've watched from afar. Securing approval to distribute the work papers is a huge thing. It's huge, and I know you know it's huge because everybody comes with all their paperwork in order, and there's always one thing missing. And I bet you if you looked at it, you probably agree with me, 70% of it is, it's not the utility bill, it's not the birth certificate, it's always the working papers and the fact you got to go somewhere else. So I congratulate you for seeing that issue and addressing that issue, and I look forward to working with you and your staff, not only this summer, but as we push forward to continue to collaborate, especially with the non-traditional work sites. So thanks very much for your hard work.
Thank you. Councilor O'Malley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank Thank you for that great presentation. I'll just jump right into my good colleague and friend, Councilor McCarthy's line of questioning. So we had, several weeks ago, perhaps 2 months ago, did a hearing order about restoration of the Boston Youth Cleanup Corps, BYCC, the Red Shirt program. Has there been, and we haven't yet held the hearing, but now's as good a time as any, since you two would likely be, as well as maybe someone from DPW, at this hearing. So not to go too off topic, but has there been any conversation about restoring that and sort of more public works, parks, jobs as part of our the youth summer jobs that we offer?
Yeah, so I know the conversation, the idea came up at the budget hearing last year. And I think for us, it's really just having the opportunity to sit down and strategize around what that would look like.
Yeah.
And, I think, we are open to just, having those conversations with the appropriate folks to really see where the opportunity lies and, what steps we need to take to be able to offer that. So I would say, it's just been preliminary discussions about it, but we have not made, any steps towards really actually designing or implementing anything.
Do either of you know, and you may not be able to speak to this because it was probably 10 plus years now, why the program was canceled?
No, I mean, in theory, we can speculate, but I don't know actually why.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think, I know Councilor McCarthy and I still see enormous efficacy in actually holding this hearing, but until then, I think it would be helpful if maybe you two could, work with the chief and the commissioner and our offices as well, and just see about maybe trying a pilot smaller scale program for this summer. I mean, there is, my district councilors particularly and I could all think of a number of spots that would benefit from sort of a roving group of young people who wanted to give back and learn some impressive skills and make a profound difference. So I'd still, it is my request, not about information so much from this hearing, but to see if we could maybe put together some sort of a piloted program for this summer. I think it would be a great way to see the success, which I'm fairly confident would be evident right away. So
Yeah, and we did have some preliminary conversations with Public Works. I did connect them with Rashad Brown. They gave it a uptick in 311 complaints, obviously, during the summer. So I know there was some preliminary talks around assigning some youth to Public Works to address and try to cut down on the backlog of 311 issues.
do we currently, are any youth assigned to Public Works?
So there are young people that are assigned to summer jobs here in city government.
Yep.
That goes through Dave DePina through the Office of Human Resources, and they actually determine how they disperse those jobs across the different departments.
But, for example, did last summer, how many were at DPW?
So the Dream Team program, which is the 18 to 24-year-old population, we had about 9 young people roughly about 6 to 9 young people that were working through the Dream Team program, but not the Success Link 15 to 18-year-olds.
So none.
Right.
But we could maybe, if what I'm hearing is that we all know and makes sense, people are out more, causes more rubbish, causes more graffiti, everything else. If we're seeing an uptick in 311 requests, so maybe we could look at some of the younger folks being assigned to DPW. Maybe that's an easy way to get a piloted program working, and then we could come up with, a strategic plan for them.
Yeah, I think it's just having a conversation with the appropriate folks.
Okay. Well, let's continue this a little bit offline and going forward, working with your colleagues. I think this could be a really exciting thing to do. And not all outside work, not all cleaning work. Learn other skills. Learn as well-rounded of an internship type summer job as we can put. But I think I'm excited about this opportunity. And then similarly, if it's successful, looking at the winter work program as well. So in last summer, there were 5,183 applicants for the youth summer jobs. 3,018 were hired, and that represents about a 400 plus increase over the prior year. Of the 21, that's great. I want to start with that. That's very good news. Good job. Of the 2165 who are not hired, do we give prioritization for the following year if they're still age eligible?
Well, so I think what we know is that they weren't able to get a job through us as Success Link. That
But
doesn't mean
perhaps the
that
private,
they
yeah.
were not able to get a job through PIC or ABCD or MLK Scholars. So I think, I think that speaks to us really beginning to make sure that there is more conversation and alignment across those other summer job
So
providers.
you don't know how many of
No.
those 2165 that weren't with the city of Boston, we don't know.
We don't know if they got a job elsewhere.
How do we find that out?
I think it's really just making sure that we're comparing numbers, we're comparing data
Yeah.
from those other summer job providers, that there's a tool in place that allows us to be able to cross-match, check the young people who are applying
Yeah.
to all these organizations and who gets a job. 'Cause
Is the timetable the same for the city as PIC as all these other
I
opportunities?
think give or take, maybe like a few weeks off, but I think the summer programs run roughly around the same timeline.
But if we reject a kid because there simply isn't enough space, or I don't mean that derisively, a young person, do we then say you may want to try looking at these other summer job opportunities?
So I don't think that we initially tell them that they may want to. I think that what we saw is some people that do decline jobs, they decline because they've gotten a job somewhere else.
Sure. Or too far, you said, I think a third or
Yeah, that's too far away,
35%
yeah.
because it's too far away.
Yep.
No, I think what you guys are doing is great work, is important work. I'm hopeful we can find out a little more data just to see ways that we should look at strengthening, that we should, perhaps increase funding in certain aspects.
Absolutely.
I would venture a guess that unlike many of the other requests for information we put out, this is one that will be easy to get the answers because people are rightfully proud of the number of youth summer jobs they offer. So again, this isn't necessarily relevant to this budget, but I think going forward it might be a good conversation to have to keep on a track. And then can you furnish for the council through the chair a breakdown by neighborhoods in terms of applicants and seats filled for
Yeah, we can.
summer jobs?
We have that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Janey.
Thank you for the thorough presentation. Is this coming on?
Yeah, it's on.
Thank you. So yes, I would also like to have that breakdown by neighborhood, so thank you for providing that to us. I was wondering, and I'm sure you covered this because it was a very thorough presentation, but I missed the beginning of it. Could you talk about the pay? How much money does each young person earn?
Yeah, so the young people earn $11 an hour for work up to 25 hours a week during the summer, and during the school year, it's the same $11 an hour at work hours up to 10 hours a week during the school year.
Right, and it says in your packet that the Metropolitan Area Planning Council launched a new youth jobs portal to help improve selection
Sure.
and ensure fairness and efficiency. Can you talk about what that now looks like and whether or not you know of whether there are young people who are all coming from a certain area, whether it be a neighborhood or a particular high school, or how you're ensuring that there's equity in terms of the jobs?
Yeah, sure. I think when we speak of equity, I think we are talking about making sure that every young person has an equal opportunity to be able to work during the summer months. And yes, the portal takes into consideration the direct selection, but the lottery component of it is the piece that helps ensure that equity. And what that means is if a young person applies, they do, through the randomized process in the portal, they have a chance just to be able to be employed through this randomized selection process in place at a job. So I think, we're hoping that we can continue just to look at that youth jobs portal. We had some folks over at MAPC that were extremely generous in terms of just pulling a lot of data for us, so that we were able to really take a close look, at those numbers, how many youths were placed through lottery, how many accepted, declined, the neighborhoods, the ages. So we do have that data. We can share that data. But the equity is just making sure that every young person has an equal opportunity at securing a summer job.
And so then you're looking at the neighborhoods that the young people are coming from, the high schools that they attend.
So
Are you collecting all of that kind of data?
Yeah, we are. And the algorithm takes into consideration the neighborhoods in which they live, and also takes into consideration their interests. And it kind of it creates like a match score to be able to place young people in jobs with those two variables.
And are there income eligibility requirements
No.
for the household? So any young person for the family that makes, $200,000 versus the family that makes $20,000, each of those young people have the opportunity to earn a summer job through this program?
Yep, so the only requirement is that young people just have to be a City of Boston resident.
Mm-hmm. And are any of your young people court involved?
Yes.
What percentage would you say are court involved?
I can get the exact percentage for you. I actually don't have that right here in front of me, but we know that there are a number of young people that their queries come back to us, and we are able to, find employment placements for them.
Excellent.
But we can get that data.
Excellent. And do many of the young people come back in the next year? Do they come back like young people who were here last year, had a summer job, they liked it, they come back, they apply? Can they go back? One, can they participate again? And two, can they go back to the same organization or company?
Yes, they can. They can
Excellent.
participate again, and they can go back to the same organization.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate the work that you're doing. I think, good quality education, jobs, opportunity for our young people are really important, and it's really helpful to have these things in place. I would love to see more funding and resources going toward these types of things, because I think that's how we really combat violence in our neighborhoods, by making sure that we have jobs and opportunity for our young people. So thank you for the work that you're doing.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Rashad, thank you for that very thorough presentation and for the work you're doing. Michael as well. Chief, Commissioner, thank you very much. This hearing is adjourned.